enough. Let's talk Ballon d'Or, shall we? Now, right now, the kind of long list is being unveiled. So, Shaka, it's a Ballon d'Or that's probably not going to be won by Lionel Messi, because at this stage, while we're recording, he's probably not even going to be nominated, and Vinny Jr.'s likely to be the favourite for this one with the odds makers. Is it a changing of the guard now, with Messi in the rear view mirror and the young ones coming up and challenging?
Of course it is. And inevitably, the guard was always going to change. While Messi and Ronaldo were in their pomp, you fully understand that nobody could get close. And rightly so. It was a two-person competition, but that is slowly but surely coming to an end. And while Lionel Messi won last year, that was in the back of the World Cup, and you just feel that this time around again, international tournaments that we saw this summer between the Euros and the Copa America will have some bearing. But Father Time catches up with us all, and whether we like to believe it or not, it turns out that both Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are human after all. I had my doubts, I have to admit.
Well, it's refreshing that it's the new guard. LME, is it simply Rodri versus La Liga now?
I think so. I think it's between Rodri and Vinicius Jr. I think Lamine Yamal, obviously, he's incredible, but it's too soon for him. I think he'll get his time in that situation. And, you know, I know that Vinicius Jr. is going to be, as you mentioned, the odds favorite. Obviously, La Liga, the Champions League, 13 goals, for both competitions, or in La Liga, so to speak. But in Copa America, he actually didn't make it outside of the group stages, suspended outside, when they faced Uruguay. To me, it should be Rodri, I think. Just because when you look at everything that he has done, he went 50 matches in the Premier League last season. He won every single one, or at least didn't lose in that one. Obviously contributed to that historic victory for Manchester City and the Euro as well, even though he came off injured against England. But I just think when you look over the overall performances that he did last season, because that's a massive factor when it comes to evaluating Ballon d'Or. It's not just about the silverware, it's about what you have done individually and collectively. It should be Rodri, but historically, you really give it more to the offensively minded player. So I think Vinicius Jr. will take it, but I think it should be Rodri.
Okay, Shaka, LME's mentioned the Premier League. He's mentioned Rodri. Let's put the two of them together. Are you surprised there hasn't been a winner from the Premier League of the Ballon d'Or since Ronaldo back in 2008?
I am. But on the one hand, you felt that, well, certainly during that period and the emergence of Manchester City, the winner of the Ballon d'Or would likely come from the Champions League winners. And I know we've had English clubs. When Chelsea won it, I think Jorginho was kind of well, let me not say the favorite, the player being pushed most to win it, kind of given the exploits of Italy as well. But the truth is, regardless of what players did, what clubs did, Lionel Messi and Ronaldo individually were just so much better than everybody else. As I mentioned, it was a two-man race. So while now we kind of sit and look at what clubs did, what individuals did for both club and country in years like this, where there are international tournaments, that's kind of new for us, new over the last 10 or 15 years while Messi and Ronaldo were around. So now you're taking a more holistic look at it. So no real surprise that all of a sudden a lot of the conversations that we've been used to have changed.
Shaka, the three kind of criteria for Ballon d'Or winner are as follows. 1, individual performance, decisiveness, and impressiveness. 2, collective performance and track record. And 3, class and fair play. Forget the Ballon d'Or for a minute. Which one of the ESPN FC members would win this trophy?
You, Mark.
Individual performance.
You, Mark. It's
not
you.
Me. Not me. I'm not involved in this.
It's absolutely you. For your efforts as a Scotsman to somehow always shoehorn Scotland into every single conversation, that takes a skill like nobody else has, Mark.
Yeah. I'm not sure Burley would be up there. He'd be competing. But Shaka, you always seem to be that guy. No one's got a bad word to say about you. Class and fair play, Shaka.
It's absolutely you, Mark. You take that trophy home. You're the victor all day, every day.
Yeah, and I just don't know how to get Hearts into this week's show. So hey ho, can't get that.
But you just did.
That's why. That's why you're the GOAT, Mark. That's why you're the GOAT.
Oh my God.
LME.
Can I leave now?
No. Tell me.
Jesus Christ. My God.
Thank
God I'm getting paid for this, I think.
We need to get Shaka a new microphone. Goodness. LME, which player? Forget odds, forget who they play for or whatever. Which player most meets this criteria? 1, individual performance, decisiveness and impressiveness. 2, collective performance and track record. And 3, class and fair play. Which one for you?
Rodri.
What was that?
Rodri.
What was that noise?
I don't know. I'm in New York City. You know what happens outside of my building in New York City? Like, I'm sorry I don't live in the wooden suburbs of Connecticut. I live with craziness here, okay? You'll hear crazy stuff all the time. So don't worry about it.
Sirens and bang.
Rodri wins it. Rodri wins it for me. Yes. Individual performance, decisiveness, and impressiveness. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, it's a fair argument to say that Manchester City last season could have won that league without Erling Haaland. I don't think you say the same thing if you don't have Rodri in that team for the season, okay? He completed the most passes in the Premier League, the most completions out of any player. And for Spain, he did it all over again until he reached the final and he came off injured. So when you think about that, Rodri. Collective performance and track record. Once again, that's answered. Class and fair play. Well, I mean, listen, Vinicius Jr was suspended in Copa America in the lead up against Uruguay in the quarterfinals. So does that go up against him? I just think that Rodri overall should get it. He's not going to because of the position that he plays. Maybe. But one thing that I love to hear when Pep Guardiola talks about Rodri, he says this. He's the kind of player that could play in any era. And I completely agree. And I think that he deserves this spotlight right now. I think, to me, because of that criteria, because it's not just down to silverware, he deserves it from what he did last season. I think we're seeing not just one of the best players in his position in the modern game, but possibly ever. I think Rodri is that good, and he deserves this award.
Shaka, is the Ballon d'Or what it used to be? Because we've seen some controversial decisions. Lewandowski should have won, didn't. Messi won, arguably shouldn't have done that year. Is it more political now than it used to be?
In my opinion, it always has been political. Listen, first of all, I don't believe in individual awards. Or I don't believe in valuing individual awards the way that the Ballon d'Or has kind of emerged to be the be-all and end-all and the defining award for players. When you have, and I'm sorry to continue to pick on Neymar, but when you have Neymar leaving Barcelona at the time that he did, to go to PSG because he wanted to be out of Messi's shadow in winning the Ballon d'Or. I'm not sure how or when the Ballon d'Or became the defining trophy in world football. This is a team game. It will always be kind of underpinned by team performance. This is icing on the cake and no more. And in fairness, and to your question, always has been. I'm not sure if it's because of the rise of the social media era and the discussions, and then the kind of again the Messi and Ronaldo duels and both their respective fan bases, that all of a sudden the Ballon d'Or and the awarding of it has taken on a life of its own. But I'm not in agreement with that aspect of it. It's icing on the cake and always has been, in my opinion.
One thing that has been a common denominator over the past, goodness knows how many years we've worked together, Shaka, has been your wonderful crystal ball and how you rarely get things wrong. Okay, it means a little bit tweaking here and there after the event. But let's look ahead 1 year to next year's Ballon d'Or. We don't have a Euros, that's already been. So what are you thinking as far as, and look, there's a small sample size already. So let's maybe think outside the box a little bit. Who do you think is going to be in contention, Shaq, for the Ballon d'Or 2025?
In contention for Ballon 2025, I go with Erling Haaland and Lamine Yamal. Kind of give him the criteria that you spelled out. Given the start of the season that we've seen from Erling Haaland, a well-rested Erling Haaland, I might add. I don't mean that as any kind of a negative. It just shows that when Erling Haaland has his rest, when he's able to be his best self, I don't think there are many players. I don't think the game has seen many finishers like Erling Haaland. And then Lamine Yamal just continues to amaze. Even if you take Lamine Yamal's age out of it, if we're just talking about a player, look at the pass that he threaded for Rafinha over last weekend. That shows a level of genius, dare I say, that I don't think many step up to. The only concern here, and again, and this goes back to some of my issue with the Ballon d'Or and the criteria. In one of the criteria, part of the criteria that you mentioned, I think one aspect was history or standing in the game or something of the sort. How can that be held against Lamine Yamal because he's 17 years old? Because he doesn't have the history in the game that Lewandowski or Rodri or Erling Haaland does. If he's good, he's good. It's a yearly award. His history shouldn't come into play here. So again, it shows some of my own kind of discontent around the idea of the Ballon d'Or.